Hey, Kliq This fans, want to get closer to the show than ever? Join Kliq This TV. Kliq This TV offers early commercial-free access to wrestling's hottest podcast, plus live audience tapings of their show every friggin' week, and your chance to participate with Kevin and Sean in the monthly Nash and Friends watch-along show. Head to KliqThisTV.com now and get inside the show that's just too sweet.
The following podcast contains mature language and adult discussions.
I still enjoy watching it every week. I watch the Open
I do too.
like a mark.
I always smile.
It's so great. Kevin, I by the way, this is Kliq This, the Kevin Nash podcast. He's Kevin, I'm Sean. If you're looking for someone else, probably number 1 through 4 unchartable, not us. I know some people owe you money, but does China owe you any money?
Well, it's funny you say that because, there was all this kick the can, like debt ceiling, and we're gonna default on our national loans. And then I opened my phone today and I go to Google, and like the third thing down is that China is going to default the trillion dollars in debt to the U.S. bondholders.
Which they've defaulted since, do you know the year? I'm going to get it. Steve, scroll down. I'm going to give you the year. Okay. In 1938, during its conflict with Japan, the Republic of China defaulted on its sovereign debt. Since 1938. Now, in 1987, if you scroll down further, Margaret Thatcher wielded her mighty power and forced it and said if they were going to participate in the UK's capital markets in any capacity, they would have to come to an agreement and settle the debt. Quote, this is from The Hill, quote, faced with that stark choice, China agreed. Unfortunately, the U.S. has failed to take such a common sense stance. So to this day, China has participated in all of our markets and has not paid. To date, I think it's $850 billion, near $1 trillion in debt.
Well, call me
irresponsible.
Call me the political economic. I mean, to me, it's just like, come on. Like I think we could probably use that $800 billion.
Yeah. So apparently,
not as much. I guess not as much as Dominion, but I mean,
so this is interesting as we talk about our debt default, and China was always cited, right, as the holder of
right,
however much it was.
Yeah, it's like, so you played a card game and you left a $400 marker with the house, and then but they owe you $1,100 from a game played in 38.
I think we could do some subtraction and find the difference and settle.
Yeah.
That was interesting. A blip on the news radar. I hadn't heard it. You talked to me about it today, but once I pulled it up, it was like, again, one of those things you'd think might be leading the news for people interested in such things. But, you got to dig to find it, unfortunately.
Yeah. Another horrific
Holiday.
gun crawl.
Yeah.
I like the body armor, walk down the street and shoot anything that moves
In Philly.
with an AR, with an AR-15 style weapon.
Right.
Yeah.
And
they
then got him in custody.
They actually, well, somebody, and the thing was last night when I was watching the news, like one of the people in the neighborhood, like fired around at the guy.
Really?
And they determined that they weren't going to press charges for him discharging his weapon under the circumstances.
Right. I get it. Right. I mean, it's in the face of a threat. Right. See,
but he did it to clean up the neighborhood.
He did it to, yes, Mr.
Yeah,
Kim Brady Carricker did it.
The toddler that he shot probably was at the root of this.
Unbelievable. His if you track his social media posts recently, they were awash with posts about guns, the Second Amendment, and, quote, the loss of freedoms. But in his
freedom,
tactical
just
gear,
another word for doing life in prison.
Yeah. And now he's got to worry about loss of freedoms. I think any freedoms he perceived having lost yesterday or 2 days ago will pale in comparison.
Yeah, I would think so.
To the rest of his life. Unbelievable, Baba. Did you grill anything? Did you do anything for the 4th? Is it just what goes on down there? Are there fireworks on the beach?
Oh God, it's like the Tet Offensive. So, Jesus.
Gets a little wild.
Private
citizens.
Our governor in 2020 made it okay to fire fireworks on 4th of July, on New Year's Eve and New Year's Day. So those 3 days, and I'm not talking about bottle rockets. I'm talking about going down to Phantom Fireworks and getting basically the same shit that they fire off at the local. There was better fireworks up and down the beach than there were at the cities. Because if you sit on top of my house, you can watch, DeLand, Deltona, Orange City, New Smyrna, Daytona Beach. Like, you can watch everybody's fireworks from up on my roof. Of course, I sat downstairs with Celebrity Jeopardy on.
Who won?
Yeah, I don't even remember. I just my dog was going crazy.
Yeah,
and we had to give and I ended up giving my dog Benadryl, and then it was like he was like
Sherlock. It was like you on a Wednesday.
And he's like Sherlock Holmes in an opium den, just out. So
yeah, they legalized it up here too. So now, like, I walked into Costco and like there's you go to the supermarket, there's little packages of fireworks. Went into Costco where everything they sell is, industrial fucking size.
Yeah, this is the thing where you light the side of the box.
Of fireworks,
you light the side of the box and it shoots 24. I mean, it says right on the side, this is explosives.
Yeah. That was always my concern with.
I was talking to Sean Waltman last night, real late. It was like 1:40 my time, and he said that there was a fireworks out down by his house, and like 30,000 people showed up, to this area, and they had, there was the professional fireworks for the area, and of course there's the guy that has the house that's by the park that's going to outmoney the city. So he's like going tit for tat, You know, they're doing a lot. They're doing a lobby. He's doing around, you know, back and forth. He says towards the end, something happened, and like the whole box went off, like the whole container went off, and it was like an explosion. You know, like this explosion in front of this house, and he said it was kind of frightening. You know, he's
Yeah.
And
the thing is too, the guys that set it off, like for the city, they hire a company, and it's their job. That's what they do. Like the dick down the street is not going to take the precaution to make sure that box doesn't tip over, angle, and now aim toward my house on its side.
And the thing is too, man, like when you go down to the beach and fire them, they don't, they don't pick it up or anything. So then the tide takes it out. The next thing you know, some dolphin eats something, and then,
Yeah.
Oh well.
I get it. Feedback from last week.
Double J, Jeff Jarrett, here with a few of my pals to tell you about the total nonstop savings happening over at SaveWithConrad.com.
Daniel Ortiz in Angelo, Texas. We had 4 large financial unexpected emergencies, and I knew that I needed something to give us a little more breathing room. And when he mentioned we can skip 2 house payments and wipe out credit card debt and loan debt, so that's exactly what I did. I called them, and it did change everything. Diane, she was awesome. She was professional, and the important thing with her is she listened. That's what made all the difference in the world. She was patient, and anytime that I needed to talk to her, she was there. She texted back. It was a different experience from any other place. Well, I can tell you the difference that it made was over $80,000 for us. It freed up that much. My credit score went up 126 points with Save with Conrad, which made it an 802. My name is Daniel Ortiz, and I freed up $80,000 with SaveWithConrad.com.
In my world, it doesn't get any better than 5 stars. Find out how much money Conrad and his team can save you by strutting over to SaveWithConrad.com. So right now, strut on over to SaveWithConrad.com.
NMLS number 65084, equal housing lender. Woo!
Tommy Damon. That's cool as hell that Kevin wishes Vince happy Father's Day and happy birthday every year to keep it respectful. Did you do that always since you left?
Not to keep it respectful. It's just because he was, he was like a father figure to me.
And you've done that always since you left?
That I remember.
Yeah. Official.
Especially as we've gotten older, I always make sure that, I wish him a happy birthday. And
when you see each other for when they used to have you come down for stuff, does he always give you time? Does he always stop and talk?
Yeah, we always, yes.
That's cool.
Yes. I think he knows, that I generally, when somebody generally likes you, and I know he knows I generally like him as a human being. Plus, we're both muscleheads. I mean, we within 2 minutes, we're talking about lifting.
Oh, yeah. Zubaz, you put the Zubaz on and you just start talking about benching.
He's still, Vince is still belt squatting 1,000 pounds. I mean, he's still he's insane. So.
Hey, did you watch, this just came to me. God, I'm going to forget what it's called, but it's a documentary about American gladiators. That's just
I didn't see the Netflix one, but I saw the 30 for 30.
No, there's a Netflix, like a multi.
I know the 30 for 30 is pretty damn good because it goes more into the guy that created it, the guy that was the Elvis impersonator.
Yes.
Yeah, it goes more into him. I was gonna watch the one that was on Netflix, but when it started, it was kind of covering stuff I had already seen. So I went into Black Mirror.
Mm-hmm.
Have you seen any of the Black Mirror?
No, it's an anthology series, right? It's
right. So I started.
Wes just got a boner again.
Yeah,
God, you guys with you.
So I watched. So the first one is called Awful. What's her name? Awful Olivia or whatever it is. It's got Selma Hayek. Awful Joan. So the first one's Awful Joan. Smart. It's just really smart. And it's there's a catch where she goes to her lawyer and she asks how is this possible, and the lawyer explains how it happens. And I'm not going to give it away because it's just like it's what we all do with our lives. And then the second one is this young kid with a young white dude that is in Scotland, and he has a young black girlfriend that's American, and they do indie films, and they go into this town. It's this barren town, and she's walking around. She's like, "God, it's so beautiful here." And he says, "Well, there was this murder, this murderer here." And they go into this whole thing, and it has a bunch of twists and turns. That goes but just berserk sideways. And then I said, you know what? Let me just watch this last one. And the last one was my favorite. It's these two astronauts, and they go in and out of like I just want to say the third one of the three that I watched. The third one was Beyond the Sea is the name of it. It's got the cat from Breaking Bad's in it.
Oh,
It's Aaron Paul and Josh Hartnett are the two astronauts.
so this is the most recent season of this you're talking about?
This is season 6 that I watched.
Okay.
Thinking that I was watching season 1, then I went back and watched episode 1, season 1, and that the basic premise of that is they kidnapped the princess of England, and the prime minister has to have intercourse with a pig on closed circuit television, and which he does. And
Average Night on the Road, I would think, in
it's
in the 90s.
It's kind of weird though, because it doesn't come across the same in that British accent when he says, do the arch, do the arch.
Much better in Iranian.
Yeah. It's much better with a Persian undertone. Yeah. So
excellent. Well, okay, I'll see if I can do it. I would give that a chance. You may know the story of Gladiators.
At least watch the awful whatever her name was. Awful
Joan.
Yeah, Awful Joan. Watch that one.
I'll see Awful Joan later.
Because it's just it's nice to watch something that's smart. It's kind of it almost has a Twilight Zone kind of a feel to it, but I don't know.
I'm a fan, so if they do that well.
I was just really because I had heard so much about it, and it's like I just finished Suits, and that was I felt like I got to Everest, to the top of Everest when he knocks on 206 and she opens the door and everything's good. So
you got through, was it 47 seasons of that? What was that?
8 seasons, 13 or 16, 13 to 16. It was like 135 episodes. Did it in, I think, 11 days.
Got to be a record of
and
some
it's like 48 minutes an episode.
So were you a fan? Uh-huh.
You got to put time. I mean, you basically got to put 8 hours in a day.
Yeah. Not
so it's go to the gym, and then
you're in. You're starting right away. 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock. It's dinner and then Suits.
And then usually I'd be like Tamara and I watch a couple. Watch we'll watch some news. We usually watch.
Did she get hit with any of the suit's shrapnel, or she avoided it completely?
Oh no, she sat through a few, and like I told her, I said, this isn't it's not Sorkin where I said you can pretty much plop in and have somebody kind of just feed you. And, and I think there's a drastic drop after season 6. It's not. It was time for it to end.
All right. Yeah, it happens.
It was time for it to end.
Were you a fan of the horror sci-fi anthology, like the either Twilight Zone or what was the other one? Outer Limits. That was the other black and white one back in the.
I liked the Outer Limits. Yeah,
Tales from the Crypt. That was in the 80s.
30 seconds, we will take control of your.
That's
television.
right. That's right.
Horizontal and the. Yeah. You're welcome to the Outer Limits.
The one I loved, just because of the eeriness of the opening, was this one called Tales from the Dark Side. It was in syndication. It used to come on like Saturday nights, like 7 o'clock or something like that by me. And the opening, the music and the voiceover was so creepy. Steve, give me a little Tales from the Dark Side open, will you? I can't remember if the stories were, because I was a kid, so I guess everything was.
One that I used to like was Darren McGavin was on a show called The Night
Stalker. Absolutely.
Yes. Oh, I was probably in middle school when that came on.
Yeah.
And those are creepy.
Darren McGavin, who won.
My wife and I just watched that the 2-part episode on the Night Stalker on Netflix.
Oh, there it is. Oh. There it comes.
Man lives in the sunlit world of what he believes to be reality. But there is, unseen by most, an underworld, a place that is just as real, but not as brightly lit. A dark side.
Tremendous.
Put the lotion in the basket.
Phenomenal. But give the American Gladiators a shot, because what they start to do is, I didn't see the 30 for 30.
No,
but
I'll watch it.
It's more about the guys and the girls that were the
they got hosed.
Athletes. Yeah.
Oh, they got hosed, man. Like the 30 for 30 that I watched, like they were running like we were. They were in buses doing tours and live event. I mean, it was
in the beginning wildly unsafe. I mean, they gave no consideration to protecting anybody, really. They just come up with an idea for a game and just try it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You guys have the contestant run by and the Gladiators will throw axes at them. Okay.
Yeah, let's give it a shot, see what happens. Official Fingers MC, I genuinely think I could have carried on smoking weed, got diagnosed with temporal lobe epilepsy, so weed messes my head up. I wouldn't have battled alcohol and heroin addiction for 21 years of my life. I'm clean of any drugs now, but I do enjoy a cheeky
God
pint
bless you, brother.
When I'm out with the missus. Keep up the good work, fellas. Best podcast around. Yeah, had that THC stigma never been there, and people just had a joint as a fucking alternative legally, who knows what people wouldn't have.
Yeah.
They always called it a gateway drug when I was a kid. You know, they were talking about, well, Pod, you may think you're just smoking a joint with your friends, but that's a gateway drug. And they said it exactly like that. All with the Tales from the Dark Side theme behind them.
Because everybody knows that if you get stoned and you enjoy that feeling,
you go right to heroin.
I mean, no, you go right to cocaine.
Oh,
because because that's what, like, wow, man, listen to that guitar solo. I'm sorry, I can't. I'm grinding my teeth over here. Like, oh man, come on. That's like I used to always say, like dudes would be like, man, what kind of music do you like? And I'd be like, well, like Isley Brothers, some Jeffrey Osborne, back in the day, a little Taste of Honey, little Barkays, and they'd be like, why do you? I don't understand. I'm like, well, don't you you make love, right? Like you listen to music when you make love. Like that's like the time when it's the most important is when I said, I'm sorry, man, but I just can't see myself like throwing down the Slipknot. Especially not it's not the. And I love Quartet. I mean, now Stone Sour, yeah, I probably rock one with some Stone Sour, but
if she puts it on, you're in for it.
Well,
and thank you for the make love, by the way, keeping in mind YouTube's restrictive policies. So I want to thank you.
Yeah, I'm trying tonight. Trying tonight.
You're a Detroit guy. I never asked you this. Were you a fan of Elmore Leonard? Did you read the Elmore Leonard crime novels that all took place like in Detroit?
No, no.
Okay. All right.
As a kid growing up, I read I was a huge Marvel comic guy. Like a kid. And it was like I never read DC. I didn't buy DC. And this is back when you would go to the grocery store and you'd put a dime on one side and 2 pennies on the other, and you'd push it in, and the comic book would fall,
Yeah.
And then, or you'd go up to West Grange drugstore, and they had a rack, and they had all the I remember you'd get your allowance. I used to get $2 for allowance, so I would get, I would always buy my favorites were I'd always get Captain America, Spider-Man, Fantastic Four. And then it'd be like, all right, I'd look at it okay, I'll get Hulk, I'll get Iron Man, because they're only 12 cents. But then you got to start looking around because there might be a 25-cent, like the big thick up 25-cent adventure. You still want to get some penny candy, so you had to kind of, like the guy that always got no love would be like Submariner, like you every once in a while, you'd read a Submariner, but I had a buddy of mine that was like super high intelligent guy, and he always got Doctor Strange, so I would always we would trade books, but I kept mine. Or Daredevil was another one I liked, and then there was a guy called Robert Bell, who was in the back of the comic books, and he sold vintage comics, so I would save my money up. And I would buy I had the Daredevil 2, 3, 4, 5, back when Daredevil was yellow and black, and I just absolutely was. So that was probably till I was, I don't know, 12 maybe.
Mm-hmm.
Then I started watching. Then it was basketball. And the only thing I read the Conan novels, I read the Tarzan novels, and I read Doc Savage. I don't know if anybody remembers the Doc Savage books, but I used to buy the Doc Savage books, and I'd read those. And then when I got a little bit older, I started reading Harold Robbins novels.
Mm-hmm.
One of my favorites was Goodbye Jeanette. There was 79 Park Avenue. There's Dreams Die Hard. I mean, I used to read all those trashy Harold Robbins novels. Yeah.
Did you ever have any comic books of value that you wish you had held on to?
Oh my God, I had so many number ones because I was so old. I was I had Silver Surfer, from 1 to. I mean, I had the.
Ben in the room letting us know, by the way, that Doc Savage was the inspiration for Superman. That's from
I
Ben
did not
Lutz.
know that.
Interesting. What'd you have the number 1 of?
Silver Surfer. Yeah, Silver Surfer. See, late 80s was too late for me.
Right. I had a friend that was so into comics. So I tried. Like, and he was one of those that, it's really funny, that line in the sand between DC and Marvel. He was like a DC guy, so like it was all DC stuff, and he dragged me to my first comic book convention. This was like before Comic-Con, obviously. This was like, I want to say mid 80s, maybe like 83, 84. And they had like Creation Comics was the name of they would take over one of the hotels in New York, and it was, seeing the whole subculture for it, but I had wandered away from the comic book area, and I went into a room and they were screening the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I was a huge horror film mark as a kid. And so I'd wandered away and saw like some of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. But I feel like, because I was forced to kind of like this stuff, I would buy comics. So I feel like I had stuff that might have been worth something. I know I had a Wanted comics from 1951. I don't know if that means anything, but I bought it at one of those conventions just because it looked different. I didn't really care about the superhero stuff. I kind of got that through wrestling, I have to say.
You know what? I also I think my aunt or somebody bought me. There used to be a magazine. It was called Famous Monsters of Filmland.
Sure, of course.
And I got a subscription to it.
Good for you. I had a subscription of Fangoria. That was the later.
Well, I had Creepy and Eerie. I used to read those, the Creepy and the Eerie's. But this Famous Monsters of Filmland, I got I've got an issue of that for until I left to college, it was still coming.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, it's just like it just never stopped, and I never renewed it. They just kept sending it to me.
I loved. I would read those Fangorias cover to cover, and Dom's here, right? He showed up. You mentioned earlier that, or I guess it was Wes. Tales from the Dark Side was George Romero's creation. George Romero, of course, of Night of the Living Dead, Dawn of the Dead, whole series, the Pittsburgh.
Do you remember the first time you saw that? Little black and white Night of the Living Dead.
I had so been desensitized. I had seen all of the slasher horror stuff in the 80s.
I saw that when it was.
I was like, what?
It felt like it was a news clip.
Yeah, it wasn't scary to me.
Oh man, it rocked me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember like all those classics. If I'd seen those first, I think it would have had an impression. Like Dementia 13 and all those classic horror films. Because they were light on gore and it was just more about atmosphere and stuff, and they were in black and white, so it was kind of removed from my time.
We had black and white TV, that was the whole thing.
We had black and white TV too, like a couple of them black and white, but then we had the color one in the living room. They didn't scare me.
There wasn't even it was a big deal when finally, the FBI came on TV and it was in color.
Oh, when they started broadcasting in color.
Yeah, broadcasting in color and everything. I remember when Gilligan's Island was on it. I think it came out at 7:30, and it was in black and white. And then all of a sudden, it just showed up. And I Dream of Jeannie was the same thing. It was just that period where everything jumped and everything became color.
Yeah,
I was just like, man, I can't believe that Ginger and Barbara Eden could look any better than they do, but boy, they do in color.
Dom, can you come up for a minute? I want to ask you, as a Pittsburgh guy, I have one question for you.
Hey, what's up?
Hey. Did you living in Pittsburgh, did you ever have a Tom Savini encounter?
You know what?
Of course you did.
I heard rumors that remember you texted me about the Pleasure Bar, which is down right by me in Bloomfield, basically?
Yes.
I fucking walk by that place all the time. Well, I heard him and George Romero would go there. That's where they would drink and kind of party at. Well, no joke, Sean. I'm seriously 2 weeks ago, I'm walking down my street to my house, and I think I see Tom Savini there. So I thought that guy looks familiar. He looks super familiar. And as he's walked by, I was like, wait a second, I think that was Tom Savini. And I'm sure.
Absolutely. See, you're a local. You get to enjoy that stuff.
There you go.
Tom Savini and Stephen King, my childhood idols. It's absolutely why girls didn't talk to me, and I had to play cards instead because of things like this. Phenomenal. We should do a whole horror show episode. Well, it's what we practically are. Extreme King. says, I'm glad Kevin said what he said about the Tiger Driver. It's a stupid move to take, and it isn't worth it. But unfortunately, if you don't do insane moves nowadays, wrestling fans will say you can't wrestle. We're going to get to that in a bit. So hang on there, Extreme King. Fred Hill. We still have feedback from last week that we haven't gotten to. I think that's a fine segment to move to the main topic there. Punk Metalhead says Steve should have to do the next show locked in the stocks from the Middle Ages for fucking up the audio. So Steve is shackled to his desk today and upside down.
I'll quote Scott Hall. Yeah, the last perfect person on the planet they nailed to a cross. So
very good. Nate Nizzle, it is clear that Sean doesn't pay attention when Nash talks about anything wrestling related. Sean hasn't given a damn about wrestling since 2001. Well, he's not entirely wrong with my not caring very much about wrestling since 2001 or whenever. I can't invest the same amount of interest. I just don't think it's as interesting. But, I have a script in front of me. I'm changing stuff. I'm moving stuff. If occasionally I miss something, it's not the end of the world. The Table for Three segment they're talking about from last week, where I thought you were talking about a promo, and you were, in fact, referencing Table for Three, which airs on the WWE Network, along with a lot of other stuff, borrowed, repackaged from kayfabe commentaries. WWAEW Marvel Fans says, quote, LA Knight is a ripoff of The Rock, yet you're the same guy who literally ripped off The Wizard of Oz. You're just a bitter superstar from the past, slamming new talent down on the ground. I'm obviously absolutely disgusted by that awful take coming from someone who I respect. This has to be a work, right? Because the Wizard of Oz
sends him off at the end, and it's like a little cat that looks like red buttons. So there was no guy there was no 7'5" guy with a dunce cap on that was the Wizard of Oz. See, that was my entire. And on top of that, I wasn't the Wizard of Oz. I was Oz.
That's true. You were the whole damn city.
I was Oz. When you saw underneath when I came out, it just said Oz. It didn't say the Wizard of Oz. So I was Oz, and as I've said a million times, I was an actual geographical region that didn't exist in anywhere but the film. So you go out there and you play a geographical region, and I'm putting over Scarface and The Crow, and I'm pulling off a geographical region,
a whole fictional city.
Unbelievable. And guess where that yellow brick road led? Yeah, that's right, buddy.
The Happy Trail.
Right up the old mid-saginal plain.
Guys out there, if you like what we do here, if you like this podcast, we see a lot of great comments that you do on YouTube and Twitter, and it's so appreciated because what we do is different. It's a bit of a risk to say we're just going to come on and not do what all the other wrestling podcasts do.
Or come on and not have any idea what we're going to talk about.
Where we're going. Oh, and you listen on Apple. I know a lot of people prefer the audio for their commutes and stuff, and that's cool. Why don't you leave a positive review on your Apple podcast gimmick or whatever your podcast outlet is? I say Apple because it's about 60%.
If you like us,
of our market, or 50%.
Bury us.
If not, go listen to something else. But because
we've had the same 3 reviews for like a year, and they're all 3 negative.
It's so funny. I don't know how they sort them for some of these sites that
we're so easily hateable. It's just
the aggregate data. But in the beginning, before we shed our audience that did not belong here, before we threw the people out of the club that didn't belong inside, people would post negative comments when we first started, and they didn't like political discussion or our take on a particularly. So they would flame the whole show with, F this, 1 star, blah, blah. But some of these sites that aggregate those reviews for Apple, like they sit there on the top. And I know I read the many comments on Apple, the very nice ones. Went through a whole list of them today. So please continue to do that. And maybe some of these sites that don't want to. Why are we hated? Why are they skewing the audience against us? There are plenty of comments they could lead on their site with charitable. Kishman took us charitable. But it's these 3 comments from a year ago. 53 episodes, by the way, ago.
We're gonna have a new segment.
Yeah.
The new segment is I get to blast somebody for impersonating somebody else.
Okay.
So you want to go into this week's segment?
You have it already?
Oh yeah. And you and I talked about it. We both watched Robert Kennedy Jr. with Bill Maher.
Yes.
And I just want to say this. If you're going to run for president, Robert Kennedy Jr., you cannot, impersonate Katharine Hepburn on Golden Pond. Okay?
Can we have a little bit of it, please? Go ahead.
I think it goes something like this. So, right there, I tried to get Sirhan out of jail because he shot the brother, and Merck and Pfizer didn't make the vaccines. It was the military complex. I've got 20% because I am the only other person running, and everyone hates Joe Biden because he's been assassinated. Shut the fuck up.
What is the condition called? It is, let me look here. There's got to be something.
It's called
Spasmic dysphonia he has.
Is that what that is?
Yes.
I just thought it was his voice.
Involuntary movement disorder.
Oh, he's not doing that. That affects
the ABC News. I don't know.
Oh,
and the organization Dysphonia International, dysphonia.org.
So are we really gonna put somebody? I'm sorry, Chris Christie. Finally they dropped, and now he's going after Trump. That's great. Sorry, nobody that heavy's getting in the office. I mean, that ain't happening. And people are like, "Oh, Trump's having." Hey, there's a difference between a 200-pound girl and a 400-pound girl. Okay, number 2.
Taft was huge, but this was before television.
Nobody is going to listen to Kennedy. And I didn't realize he had a condition. I just thought that's how, because he hasn't been anywhere in so long. I haven't heard the guy speak. I just know that it was chalkboard, fingers on the chalkboard.
Right.
So, my apologies to your condition, but geez, dude, you're still this, everything on earth being a conspiracy.
Yeah. All right. So too heavy. Chris Christie, too heavy. We're saying that.
Too heavy.
Are we still at the time when I had this discussion yesterday with someone? Are we still at a time where like, I mean, we had a black president, which I thought would break all. That was like the atomic bomb on barriers to.
What he did was he went 8 years without a scandal. His family went without scandal, and the people that want to press the critical race theory said, like, hey man, like this is bullshit. Like, we can't have some black man running the country and not causing any trouble for 8 years. Like, this is really making us look bad. So we got to do what I got an idea. I'll go over by his house with some weapons. That's what they just got some idiot that was at the insurrection. They just arrested some guy at Obama's crib. Come on, man, really?
I don't know. Will we have an Italian president? Will we have like ethnic presidents? You know, someone born to a Polish immigrant. Like, is it fair game now? Is the field leveled?
Well, number one, Biden hasn't, like, if you look at the things that we were all up in arms about, that he had to be killed, like with the inflation and all these other things, the stock markets is turned back bull.
Yeah, those were the ebbs and flows of a presidency. We had Russia, which fucked up the oil thing for a few minutes, but you know, he released more reserves, and gas is where it, is much lower.
Yeah, it's we do have infrastructure, and that was clearly shown when 95 was, I-95 caved in, and they said that would be months before that thing was fixed, and that thing was fixed in 10 days. Enough to get, like we said, enough to get transportation back and forth, up 95, which is a pretty significant
road,
hub for commerce. I mean, really, when it comes to it's like it's the 4th of July, and I'm watching the news. And like, just out of nowhere, somebody says, and they found a small bag of cocaine in the West Wing, but the Biden family wasn't there. And I'm thinking, so wait, but Hunter was there earlier to pick up his dad, and he dropped like an 8-ball. Like wait, what is that?
What's the angle? Yeah,
like, who's to say it wasn't there from, I mean, the story I heard was that Trump has to wear a diaper because he partied so hard during the Studio 54 days, he blew his shit out. So, but I will say this: I watched the clip, and they were talking to golfer John Daly, and John, they said, what kind of a golfer was Trump? And John Daly said, Trump hits a good ball. He says, yeah, but I heard his best best thing he pulls out of his bag is the pencil. And he said, oh, no. I was Clinton. Clinton was the guy that changed the score. He says, Trump's a pretty good golfer. So
there you go.
I don't know why I threw that in there, but
well, interesting. I'm a Daly fan.
I didn't know that. I mean, he's got kind of a Charles Barkley swing to me, but obviously he hits the ball.
It's the midsection. I mean, if golf, it's all about torque. It's all about the turn, and if you're carrying too much in the middle, that gets tougher and tougher.
Yeah.
You mentioned Kenny Omega before, and I just wanted to bring up the quote from him before we move on to problems in the world beyond wrestling, Israel and whatnot. The criticism of the Tiger Driver spot, right? And he said the following: people that wanted to shit on something, or people that want to frown upon something, or for people that want to say, well, if it were me, I wouldn't have done that. I didn't get to where I was by being able to do things that everyone else could do. So this is more along the lines of that this was planned. Now is the narrative.
Oh, I absolutely believe 100% that this Tiger Bomb was planned. I just think that I don't think that they planned it to be like I planned to power bomb Paul White.
Big Show, yeah.
Yeah, I planned to power bomb him. It didn't turn out that way, but actually, I didn't want to say anything because Paul told me that he would strangle me to death if I ever brought it up. But that was actually a Tiger Bomb that I hit.
That you were intending to do.
Yes, that was, and what it basically is, and now that the cat's out of the bag, I'm going to go ahead and say it. It's the world's largest Tiger Bomb. So Kenny, I get it, man. There's a lot of people that can't do that move, but in that ring that night was over 800 pounds, and we pulled it off to perfection. So
when you called it, did Paul hesitate at all when you said Tiger Driver? Tiger Driver.
Tiger Driver. No, I called it a Tiger Bomb, because it was our version, and we had been doing it all around the horn, and but it just didn't get much coverage in Shreveport, Biloxi, Mobile, So when I called the Tiger Driver Bomb, he knew. It's just
and he wouldn't have done anything that he couldn't handle. He doesn't do things that most other people can do.
To this day, you ask him, was there any, besides the concussion I gave him, was there anything that he would retract from that? And it's just like, no, because I'm pretty sure that we got 5 stars for that match.
Well, it wasn't in Japan, so you probably got 4.
No, we got 5.
You got 5?
Yeah.
Okay. Wait, because of Japanese move, maybe. Incorporating the Japanese move.
So much of that psychology was so super strong anyway.
You worked super strong style that night?
Yeah, super strong style the entire match. So, but that was, like I say, smaller guys, I've been roasted for calling people vanilla midgets, but Kenny, I think is a special breed. Osprey obviously is a special breed, and I would just maybe get those guys with Chris Christie, get on a little bit of a bulking diet, and see if they can pull that out at 300 pounds apiece.
Like you and Big Show. Yeah.
I mean, Show was 5'6".
Show was full. He was over
560.
Right?
I was like 335. So I mean, you got a ways to go.
So you get it. Like when you read the quotes from.
Oh yeah, I get it, man. People and the haters, like to this day, people say people bring that up. They say that time you screwed up that, and it's just like I just laugh. Because to me, it's just like, man, like what a mark! Like
you've never seen the Tiger Driver Bomb.
Yeah, that's the whole thing. Like,
right.
Of course, it's going to look different with 900 pounds, but the Tiger Power Bomb
Driver Power Bomb
Driver Bomb is it's a. What can I say?
Yeah, and you were in your Big John Studd phase at the time too, which made it.
Well, that's right. I was telling people that they couldn't slam me. It was
right.
A monetary value if you could slam.
And was White doing the I'm Andre's son gimmick too? Because that would have been interesting to have like Studd and Andre's son from the old classic WWF feud. So much to unpack in that one.
We talked about me actually coming down as the Yeti that night. But we thought, let's just leave it where it's at.
Yeah. You don't want to give them too much. You got to keep them.
Especially when you're doing it from O'Hara Arena in Dayton.
Mm-hmm.
And it's one of the few arenas that you can actually see the drop ceiling from every shot in the ring.
Any basketball hoops in the background like the...
No, but I played a high school all-star game in Dayton, Ohio at the O'Hara Arena back in '77. So,
really?
Yes. and it was a shithole then.
Right. You know, another wrestler mentioned you this
Tiger
week.
Tiger Power Bob. Driver.
Guys, are you working on the shirt? I hope. The crew is supposed to know when they hear gold to start making the shirt.
Bomb, power driver, bomb, Tiger bomb.
You need an animated Nash throwing giant down on his head. Another wrestler mentioned you this week, positively. Your boy, Alex Shelley. Someone asked.
Finally, I see somebody likes me.
Someone asked him what he learned from being with you for like a year, right? You guys were together.
Yeah, we were together for. I mean,
and this was his response. This was on Twitter. I know the guy that asked him this question. Not that we planted it or anything, but
on the Kliq This podcast. And he always has high praise for you. Like anytime your name gets brought up or anything like that. What is some of the major things that you kind of learned from Kevin, like moving on with your career and developing?
Like I've learned from Kevin in life, not just wrestling, because I was with the guy for over a year, like a lot too. At Impact and then outside the ring as well. And basically, if I had to like really just encapsulate a few of the lessons I got from him, I remember him telling me, you're most powerful when you don't care. And I hate to say it this way. It's not that I don't care about losing the belt. It's that I know that one day I will lose the belt, right? So I don't care what anybody says about it. Like, that's why I have the attitude I do going into these matches coming up. Like, if you can beat me, fine. I'm still going to do things my way. I understood working with Kevin too, that there is something sublime about wrestling as far as connecting with the audience. The audience sees through a lot of bullshit. If something isn't authentic, and usually that's the case of the wrestlers themselves, trying to do something that doesn't come naturally to them, whether that's emotionally or physically, the fans will catch on and that'll rattle the wrestlers too. So he said the best way to be successful is honestly go out there and entertain yourself. Do what comes naturally to you. Do what you think is going to be cool or different or interesting or easy or fun. If you can do those things, then it parlays with success. And I do agree with that completely. I mean, there's way more lessons than that, but those two I thought were quite paramount.
Plays right into what we've been talking about with doing something authentic rather than impersonating, right?
Well, and that's the whole thing. It's just like there's so many people that agree that that LA is doing the
Rock thing,
a Rock / Austin, and it's just. I mean, the guy's been in the business for like 10 years. I mean, he was in like, why didn't he get over anywhere else?
Well, wasn't the thing that he was going to be let go, or he said he feared being let go last year?
I've always said that if you're not over in 3 years, you're just not going to, it's just not probably going to happen. That used to be, then I would go down to NXT and I'd ask a guy, I'm like, how long you been here? He'd be like 4 years, 5 years. I'd be like, this is before NXT was like, had its own show. That's just, these guys were like in developmental for 4 years, 5 years. I'd be like, you know, but, you know, and the whole thing too is it's really easy when you're 6'10" and 305 pounds, drug free, to say, yeah, well, I made it. Of course I made it, because I was the biggest human being that was in the business, and Vince loved size, and we had the feds down our back. So, but just because the stars align right for you, you know, the stars align right for Kenny because he didn't get paralyzed. There's a lot of luck in what we do. I'm just not going to take all the assets that I've gathered in the last 30 years and go to the roulette wheel and put it on double green 0 and give it a spin.
Because that's the plan.
Yeah, that to me. I'll put it and I'll just continue to put my money in my little Berkshire Hathaway Class B stock. And I think anybody that's been watching this show, I think I brought it up at around 270-ish. I don't know what it closed at today, but I think it's around 343. So I don't know. If you're out there and you're making 10, 12% on your money, hey, God bless you. And if you're not, and you're worried about what kind of wheels you got on your car, have a good life.
I have no segue for this, but in the Israeli-Palestinian conflict is nothing new.
But it's kind of to me, it's the kind of the barometer of when shit is going to really start to percolate. Like when it
gets volatile.
When the Middle East, when the Palestinians and the Israelis, when it starts, because my wife and I, like, my wife wants to go to Jerusalem, and I've been, and she's like, that's someplace I really want to go on this earth before I die. And we always so we keep a very close look on the Israeli situation. Well, right now would not, if you were playing Stratego, there's way too many bombs out there. So it's like, no, we're not going to go. But this is the first time, right, when you and I were talking about this,
yeah,
that we were, that there was an actual news clip of the conflict. And it's usually, a couple of Israeli soldiers, and there's on this other side of some burning tires, there's some young Palestinian kids, and they're throwing rocks and maybe occasionally a Molotov cocktail, where this time they were in like a wedge formation with 3 armored vehicles, and they're moving at a decent clip. They're not crawling, and they're being hit with rocks and an occasional Molotov cocktail. But if you've ever been in any situation, and I've never been in real combat, but I've been in simulated combat through training, and there are distinct sounds that belt-fed automatic weapons make. And when you have 3 of the same weapons firing at the same time, even though the belts are being fed, it's not they're not being simultaneously fired, but the sound is basically it's being reproduced. It's like if it was a marching band and they've got the big giant bass drum and they're banging that drum, those 3 drums don't need to be hit simultaneously for you to know that those 3 drums are being hit.
Right.
And that's the same thing with these automatic weapons that are they're saying that they're being fired upon, and all I can hear is the Israeli automatic weapons being fired. And I'm like, this is the first time in my life I've ever seen this kind of aggression clearly displayed against the Palestinians. And, we have this, and then we have like, I still can't believe the guy from the Wagner group's alive.
We think.
Well, we guess.
Yeah.
But I bet he's got a Kobe Bryant jersey on right now.
Well, the comparisons between
him and Kobe.
He probably bailed. You think he's still hanging out in Belarus?
I would.
He's on a fucking train to Paris.
That's a hell of a place to go to. It used to be in the old days. It'd be, oh yeah, Paris. Yeah, all you got to do is
lay down for
yeah,
Adolf.
They'll put up the white flag in 20 seconds. Well, I'll tell you what, man. It seems to me like they'll riot at a drop of a hat. And I said, I said it earlier when we were talking. I said that I think it's going to be a scrum to see who lights that Olympic torch.
And with what?
Exactly. Molotov cocktail,
flamethrower.
And that's not funny, man. But Paris ain't your mama's Paris.
Paris is burning. Well, it is time for the stiff one of the week. And this week, our friends at Factor helping us out here with our stiff one of the week. You know what Factor is? I'll tell you, it's America's #1 ready-to-eat meal kit. That's what it is, for goodness sakes. And healthy eating made easy. That's what it is all about. That is the whole thing with Factor. Okay, you're looking for wholesome, convenient meals. It's summer. Okay, you want to support your sunny, active days. Speed comes into play here, guys. We're talking 2 minutes for these fresh meals, and you are ready to rock. Want to feel your best while making the most of your summer adventure? Well, stick to your wellness goals with premium, ready-to-eat meals featuring high-quality ingredients. We're talking broccolini, leeks, asparagus. Treat yourself to 34 weekly restaurant-quality options, more than 34, as a matter of fact. Options like bruschetta shrimp risotto and green goddess chicken, grilled steakhouse filet mignon, ready in 2 minutes. That's the beauty here. The speed, the convenience, and the healthy ingredients. Flavor-packed options are on the menu. It doesn't matter what your particular diet restrictions or plans are. When I filled out my form, I could do calorie smart. You could do vegan, veggie, protein plus, chef's choice, prepared by chefs and approved by dietitians. Each meal has all the ingredients you need to feel satisfied all day long while meeting your goals, no matter what they are from a dietary standpoint, okay? And listen, you can round out the meals with the snack supplies now. More than 45 add-ons, baby. Talking apple cinnamon pancakes, bacon and cheddar egg bites. Start your day with those. Or a bacon and egg breakfast skillet. So, guys, we want you to get in the game here. Head to factormeals.com/Kliq50. You know why the 50? I'm going to blow your mind right now. Use that code KLIQ50 to get 50% off. That's right, code Kliq50 at factormeals.com/Kliq50 will get you 50% off. Thank you, Factor. Thank you for your product that I enjoy. And thank you for helping us out and sponsoring our segment this week. So this stiff one actually comes from our Nash and Friends this month. This is a clip of Vince Russo talking about Paul Heyman and what he thinks they can do to Paul Heyman on WWE television to make it more interesting. If you like this clip, you can be part of Nash and Friends if you go to Kliq This TV and join up. Let's see what he says. You know what they're asking in the chat, Vince? They want to know what you think of Paul Heyman with Bloodline.
I hate it, bro. You know what I say? If the WWE wants to save money, and I've been saying this for the last 2 years, bro. Bro, remember what movie was it? Remember Mary Poppins, bro? You know, Sean, you know, bro. You and I remember remember Mary Poppins with Julie Andrews,
Dick Van Dyke.
And remember then the animated animals would come out and dance and sing. Remember that, bro?
Yes.
Bro, listen, here's my Paul Heyman idea. Bro, make him an animated character on the TV. because he's a cartoon anyway. So have him come out with Roman, but he's animated, bro. This way, you don't got to pay him. You don't got to pay for the trans. You don't got to pay for the plane fare. Let him just be a cartoon, bro, because that's what he kills it for me. He kills it for me with the over-the-top faces and overacting and the hand. Oh, my, bro. And what does it go back to? You know what it goes back to, Sean? Nobody would act that way. That's what it goes back to. Nobody would ever act that way. Only in wrestling, bro.
Really?
So you think that after being on the television for like 10 years that you wouldn't come out every week and tell the crowd what your name was?
Bro, it drives me nuts.
Okay, here's my new pet peeve. Not even pet peeve. This makes it where I have to mute Raw. Seth freaking Rollins is taking a step. Seth freaking Rollins is Seth. Oh, and here comes the A-lister. And it's supposed to be like sports. You know? It's like, if I hear Seth freaking Rollins.
I know.
It's like, what the? Is there anything less cool than freak?
Yeah. And you know,
who says freaking? That's like so fucking.
Yeah. And
I almost made it through that clip without an F-bomb.
Oh, yeah. Almost. Guys, you can join the fun and also our audience here. We have people here sending us comments throughout the show. Go to kliqthistv.com. Doing very well with that, and we're working hard to bring you guys new, different content. Exciting content every month, and we will continue to do so.
It's kind of like the Love Boat.
Well, I was considering dressing like Gavin McLeod. He's got the full fupa going. My daughter always comments, if Love Boat is on television in my house, which it frequently is, that the belt line on Gavin McLeod goes up as the show goes on, season after season. He almost doesn't need a shirt at this point.
Yeah, he's definitely in the Hawk era. Yeah, Hawk's trunks were about here.
Hawk did have a very high trunks,
Hawk's pants were right below his pec line.
Did you ever watch that video, that home video that I sent you that was shot by Jimmy Garvin of the guys backstage?
Oh, it's so adolescent.
Oh my God. Is that what the hell goes on back there?
No, not
now maybe, but
I swear those guys had eaten mushrooms or something. I mean, it was like that's.
It was so,
or nobody had like, because remember how big video like it wouldn't be like somebody just picking their phone up and going, "Hey asshole, I'm over here," and you say something. I mean, back in those days, it'd be like somebody be in the hey,
couldn't focus the thing half the time. Florida Man, Jersey guy, everyone's favorite segment. Kevin,
I missed last time.
You have to redeem yourself here. But as you said last week, you wanted to lose to prove that you were mortal. So
I had to. I had to do the job to Buster Douglas, or we weren't going to be able to get any line on our next bout.
Okay, let's go here. Two headlines for anyone playing along that is not familiar with this. Two headlines. One from a Jersey guy, one from a Florida man. First headline, man blames voodoo after impregnating 13-year-old girl. Okay. Second headline, driver of fire truck arrested for crack cocaine. Okay, first one, if you're playing along at home, you can. We should do some kind of live gimmick. Well, we have a live audience. Why don't you guys vote? Steve, bring up some of the...
Hold on, I got to hear it again.
Man blames voodoo after impregnating a 13-year-old girl. And the second headline, driver of fire truck arrested for crack cocaine. I think I stopped him. He seems to be struggling with this one.
No, because there's no...
There's nothing indicative in the headline. So you
No,
have to go with
you have to
feeling.
gu-
You have to go with your gut.
guess.
Yeah, you have to go with your
You
gut.
know, I'm going to go with a fire truck and crack cocaine to Florida.
So the voodoo
Voodoo would be
impregnating would be Jersey,
Jersey.
and the fire truck crack is. So let's see. Ryan thinks voodoo is Florida. Anybody else voting? All right. Well, I can tell you that you should have gone with Ryan, because I got to get the city, in West Palm Beach, a Florida man is claiming that voodoo was responsible for the impregnation of the 13-year-old girl. The girl was admitted to the hospital after suffering severe abdominal pain, and God help us all, she was 6 months pregnant, and the victim of this charming individual here who blamed this on voodoo. And then we go to Jersey. We go to the town of Franklin Township. A little bit of, well, there's so many compartments on those fire trucks when you look at them. I mean, there's probably a lot of pressure to fill each one of those drawers, and decided that one of them would be, for the crack. For God's sake.
This is getting to the point now to stump me, where man draws circle on wooden crate, and guy cuts lawn with cap on backwards. That's where we're at right now.
Well, you can't always have something indicative of the city.
Well,
you made it so easy sometimes. You were like, no Publix in New Jersey, idiot.
No, but I mean, now now I'm just playing. I'm doing my SAT, and it's the math, and I'm just 50-50 in it.
Making the design with the circles.
Yeah, Christmas tree.
Oh. Well, folks,
I thought because of the Jamaican influence in New York that it may have lingered down to Jersey, was my thought there.
Yes, but I did put some thought into this. In Miami, well, this was West Palm Beach, but still in Miami, you do have a very big like Santeria and voodoo and
yeah, but West Palm is like 75 miles.
Well, West Palm, yeah, but I'm saying to hear the headline, you could also go to Florida.
I see. To me, when I hear voodoo, I think of like New Orleans, like Louisiana. Like, I think that more of the voodoo, more of a kind of a Cajun, that kind of a vibe, which would be more of a. It just feels more New York.
Yeah.
Get it. Then and to me, like, I don't know, crack cocaine and fire trucks is everywhere. So.
That's true. They both exist, but often not together, which makes this game so much fun.
But here's one I got. I've got to say this. So that I was looking for people to follow on Instagram that, just to broaden my horizons. And I found this woman last night. She's a young woman, and she's for a minute there I thought that I didn't like her. I didn't. It took me a couple. I had to follow her for a minute and listen through to realize that the first one that I listened to was sarcasm. But it's either an RN or a doctor that she's talking to from a hospital. This is in Texas, and the mother goes in at 15 weeks. And has an ultrasound done. And the child doesn't have a head. Okay? And the mother's having some medical issues. And they give her an antidepressant and send her home saying that they will not abort the fetus. And the fetus doesn't have a head. And she's the girl's 21 years old, so she has to go to New Mexico and pay for this out of pocket. They end up staying at like a Motel 6 because that's all they could afford. And they basically, she spends the night after the procedure at the Motel 6. They get up and drive from New Mexico back, and she's got a fever. Her fluids are horrible. And I mean, it's like she pretty much puts herself, her life in risk because of this Texas ruling. And she said that the girl should have went to Colorado, and she named another state, but she was saying that never, what the problem was that this girl went to a Catholic hospital in New Mexico. So she went to a religious hospital on top of that. And she said that they would have, like Medicare would have taken care of it. And I think she was in Colorado. And it was just like, and then there was several of these in a row where one was missing limbs and all this other thing. They made her go term, and the child lived 4 hours. The other was they were having difficulties. The child was stillborn. It was like one horrific thing after another, just so Texas could, abide by their no abortion law.
No, and you're gonna get shit like this now. I mean, this is the
and it is, and every one of the mothers was their health was put at severe risk.
Yeah, I know. This is going to be an unfortunate outgrowth of this.
And my whole thing is, there's never been a child that has lived any younger than 21 weeks. I think it's 21 weeks, 5 days is the youngest child ever born. So it's 17 weeks. The child's not going to live.
Right.
And it's
on the reality for now. These things.
We just got to make sure that, I mean, that there will be a, but this is the thing that, another thing that God forbid, for anybody that doesn't want to hear a political view or a pro-choice view, please go in the other room and practice a spinning screwdriver on your wife.
Screwdriver bomb.
Screwdriver bomb. I want to think it's Oklahoma. It's one of these states that's having like a special vote on the abortion amendment in the state, and it's either Nebraska, Oklahoma. It's one of these, but they're trying to make it a 60-40 pass.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's what when we got medical marijuana in Florida, we had to get 61% of the vote down here. Like what the fuck is that? Come on.
Yeah, I don't know how they arrive at these.
Well, because
super majorities.
They're in charge.
Right.
The Republicans are in charge, and they set up their super majority, and it's just like, if you're so certain that that you want to let the people speak, then let the people speak. Let the people speak on everything. Let the people,
I think everything should be on a ballot.
And and to me, I have never been, in 64 years on this planet, I have never been more appalled and just, flabbergasted at the Supreme Court of the United States of America. And it's a 6-3, and these people are just, I mean, affirmative action is gone.
Well, the thing with the Supreme Court is, and this having nothing to do with their decisions yet, but something we covered where there's no governance over the Supreme Court, something that I was just never aware of until we started to have the discussions this year about Clarence Thomas and all this stuff. Because judges and courts in the lower courts are heavily regulated and heavily overseen by agencies above. And it would make sense, right, that your highest court in the land, but to keep the powers of checks and balances in place, you'd have to have total independence. Now, what that didn't take into account is that people will try to game every system possible, and I have a hard time accepting that these decisions come from the rule of law when they're made and they're not politically driven. I think it's a stretch for everyone to believe the grammar school fantasy that the three bodies of government function independent and autonomously and for the good of all.
Yeah. And I mean, it's just, we've gotten to the point where there has to be term limits on everything. I mean, if the president of the United States can only do 8 years, then Senate's 8 years, House is 8 years, and the Supreme Court, let's give them 12. Let's give them 12 because they were lifetime. But you can't have somebody that's.
The argument against that, though, was always that it would the deck would be stacked in favor of whatever party was in when that mass retirement or end of term would happen, and you can almost predict.
Well, you would do it the same way you do it right now. It wouldn't be, you couldn't blanket it. It's just like, where it's staggered, where at midterm, you would lose half. But right now it's a 6-3. Like everything that's being voted on is either 6-3 or 7-2. And it's all six of the justices that were put in by Republican presidents
What if it wasn't appointees? Would that be an easier? Maybe if it wasn't appointees that they had to be elected.
Well, it's gotten to the point for me, where when I was younger and you would go in and you would vote, I really didn't do a whole lot of background checks on judges, and then as you get older and you realize that, like one of the biggest mistakes that I think Obama did was he just really left a lot of the judges, the federal judge spots vacant. And Trump went in and filled them.
Oh,
and you look,
yeah.
And you look now, it's like every judge, that you look up is a Federalist. So, but it's just like you have to do homework on It's like you're given a vote, and you just I've said it a billion times. I didn't want to vote for Hillary Clinton, but I knew that voting for Trump, because I didn't know I had no idea what Trump would, I was like everybody else. Like, maybe it's time to get somebody that's not a politician. And then he was so nasty during the debates. I was like, nah, this doesn't seem like this is going to be, something that's going to be good for the country. And then, but knowing that he was a Republican and knowing that they were going to get 2, possibly 3 seats during his term, it ended up being 3. And that's a game changer right now. So,
sure is. A smart play by them to look at circuit judges and
absolutely
all over the country and fill that. I mean, I saw that happening, and I said, very interesting.
Yeah, and I mean, it's
someone smarter than Trump obviously advised him to do that. People that were around him. You know what's smart though? The LA Knight thing is spot on. I just think what modern wrestling is all about. I think it's what modern wrestling is all about, and no one cares. Too bad, because he's obviously good. He just needs to be original. I guess we'll address that shortly as well. Kevin, you were in the news a lot this week. Yet again.
But not... you
didn't run into a burning building and save anybody.
But. No, but it's always because they don't understand. They don't know me. They don't understand me when I say something. There's no background. It's just they take what you say, and 9 times out of 10, they didn't watch the show. They didn't hear me say it on the show. So it's hearsay of what I said, and then they're saying, well, he buried, the LA Knight guy. Okay, now, number one, since we're here, I'm going to go ahead and just address this. Number one, I have never in my life seen that character on television. Okay? So the first time I see him is I watch it. It's the go home for Money in the Bank, and he walks out and he cuts that promo. And I was just like, okay, this is a rib, right? And then it's not. It's just what the character is. And I'm like, is that... So I get hot, and then I come on TV, and I say, you got to be kidding me, right? But then they say, well, you buried the guy. I didn't say he couldn't work. I've never seen him in the ring. I didn't say he couldn't throw a punch. I just said it wasn't very original. And then I get back, like I look at my Twitter feed just to see, and it was just also negative. So all I do is, it's just this simple. You're on my Twitter feed and you're giving me shit. I just block you. I'm not going to respond to you. Like one guy said something. He said, "Oh yeah," he said, "You're a copy of Big John Studd." And I said, "Oh, come on, man. You can't tell me I didn't have better hair than John Studd." That was like my only response to anybody. I mean, it was just like, and I just, so, and this is the thing. So it's yesterday, and it's the 4th of July. And again, another, my son hated the 4th of July because he was autistic.
Oh, the fireworks.
That loud noise was, man, that was just, it was not a good day for him. And they, they go till 4 a.m. and he would just, he'd have his headphones on and just, but you only wear headphones so long, then these idiots start at 4 p.m. So, I just was reminiscing and missing my son, and I definitely didn't want to watch some armed forces band play It's a Grand Old Flag while they shot fireworks over New York's skyline. It really wasn't something that was gonna grab me. And my wife, her mom came over and her brother came over, and they went up on the roof and they were watching fireworks. But I don't give 2 shits. I'm not gonna watch fireworks.
So you don't go up and join them. You stay in the house.
No.
Are you seen as antisocial for that?
Huh?
Or is it just like, it's Kev, he's downstairs?
No, they know. It's like, number one, it's hot. Number two, it's loud. Number three, it's like, how many fireworks can you see? Like,
I agree.
if they were shooting planes down, absolutely, I'd be up there. If they were like, there was like a destroyer out there, and we had artillery, and we were firing at it, trying to knock it out, I would watch that. But
Something new.
just to watch something go up and go pow, after 3 times, it's like, all right, I'm done.
I get it.
Yeah.
I've never seen 2 fireworks shows that look very different from one another ever.
Yeah, it's here comes the big croissant. Oh, that was great. And in the meantime, let me see Shania Twain, who's like 75 years old. It looks like she backed her ass up to a fucking a sander with boots on, hair extensions, trying to look like she's 30. Lip sync some let me just watch some shit show with they had the guys from the military, like Marines, were rapping in their uniforms. I was just
And
like,
fireworks on TV.
Yeah.
We kind of talked about like watching the call and response thing in WWE on television and not being part of it, like the Rocky Horror Picture Show, but like
Yes.
you're across the street, you're not in the theater.
No.
Same thing with the fireworks, I think. Like fireworks on TV, what?
And I think that the thing with fireworks is, if you go someplace and there's like 10,000 people, and then now it's like kind of that vibe where and you look at the wonderment of the kids, or I just used to, when I was young, I used to always love when the dud would go off. It'd shoot up, and it would be super loud, and then the kids would cry. See, I like that. If they promise me, but now it's hey, you want to go to the fireworks? It's probably a real good place for a mass shooting. Yeah, hold on, let me get my car keys. Like, no. That's all you need. Let me go someplace where there's explosions. So if somebody puts a belt-operated machine gun up on top of a parking garage, I'll have no idea until the guy next to me's head explodes and somebody's on a July 4th rampage.
This is the LA Night I just want to remind everyone this is the LA Night discussion portion of the show.
Yes.
So Kevin didn't go up on the roof, but instead he...
No, so I've never seen the guy work, and I just said what I said, but then when I thought about it after the show was over, I said, I can't, anytime you bash one of the boys, he's still, I don't know, but he's still one of the boys. And then I thought, well, the worst case scenario is that somebody will say I bashed him, and then like if he's over, then the people will be like, well, we like him anyway, and they'll push him harder. Like, well, we'll show you, and the people will get with him more. So Monday
this
night
was a covert plan to get him pushed.
Absolutely. I think, how am I possibly, somebody said, like, once again, these old wrestlers are holding, we're holding them down as much as you're sitting in your fucking living room getting them pushed. You have, I know you think you guys count, you don't. Okay? All I do know is when I was asked to pick somebody, I said Damian Priest, and lo and behold, who won the Money in the Bank?
We talked last week. We went through the roster.
I guess I'm not as out of it as it appears. But so I say to myself, all right, so I'm gonna I've taken the backlash of talking about this guy impersonating The Rock, and I said, let me watch him. I watched for 3 fucking hours. He's not on the show. I'm like, well, what's all the? I swear to Seth freaking Rollins wrestled 13 times. Damian Priest was on it 11. Like, they had so many people that made 4 and 5 appearances, and this guy that's super over isn't on the show. And I went, so today I just like, I Google him, and I'm like, okay, is he hurt? What's going on? And he in Cardiff or wherever he goes, like, he comes out in his gear before somebody's else's match and says he retires. And I'm like, oh God, man.
I said, Kev, you got to watch where you point that thing.
Yeah, I said, but it was just, it was work. He ended up, he worked with Mysterio. He worked with Ray that night and did the job to somebody that's getting ready to retire. But
he addressed the Rock comparisons on Cheap Heat radio or podcast and said, quote, this was comparisons to the Rock, and also Stone Cold, I guess. If you want to make that comparison, cool. My aim is to be bigger and better than either of them. I bring a very different package to the table than they do. At the same time, are there similarities? Sure, there are. There is Kobe to Jordan, those kind of comparisons. If you want to make me the Kobe to their Jordan, I'll take it. No, right. He's working heel here, right? Because no way a comparison.
I just have to say this, that I played basketball. I was a basketball player, and I promise you that if I put on a pair of Jordans and a Kobe Bryant jersey and walk through the mall, I'm not going to have their game. So I just want to make that perfectly clear that, and then somebody said, oh, your best friend impersonated Tony Montana's Scarface. Okay. Pretty original idea. Pretty original idea. You take somebody from a motion picture and make him a wrestling character. Now, if somebody did Razor Ramon's character right now,
right, that's the apples to apples comparison, right there.
Yes, it's like, and I'm sorry, man. They're like, Nash. What has Nash done? Well, I'll tell you something right now. I don't know LA Knight. But I guarantee you one thing.
You impersonate Big John Studd. I know that.
I guarantee you that he's on a guaranteed contract. I promise you that.
Oh, so you're saying some of the residual effects of having a Nash come before you.
Of having Mr. Nash.
AKA Big John Studd. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I just like to be called Stud.
I'd like to be called Big just once, like Joe Pesci said. I wish I was big just once.
So it's just like, you know what? I'm not gonna apologize because I think it's a blatant ripoff, but I didn't mean any harm. I haven't seen the guy work. Please don't, just to appease me, do a Tiger Driver. Because no matter how Kenny Omega wants to dissect that, I took 2 courses, two semesters of physics in college, and once you start the gravitational component of anything, you can't correct it. So if your top of your skull is 8 inches from the canvas and the guy's already let go of you, you can't adjust. There's no adjusting. So all you can do is turn into it more, so you get a better chance of blowing the disc out of your neck. So, like I said, I really enjoy watching Kenny work. So I mean, I would hope that he doesn't do that again. But I've also heard Kenny tell a lot of people in the last couple of months he doesn't know how much longer he's going to be doing this. So,
well, I want to bring up what Kenny said in a minute, but I don't want to get off the LA Knight thing. There was an editorial piece. Did you read the op-ed piece from Cage Side Seats? It was by a M. Gomez. I don't want to read the whole article, but
I'm sorry, where did he work at?
Cage Side Seats.
No, I mean
as a wrestler, you mean.
What was his working name?
Well, let's click him here. Let's go in. He's a contributor. Previous work, he wrote for the Sportster, sports anchor for Double X Sports Radio in San Diego, and he enjoys time with his wife in and out.
So, but he's never been in the ring.
It's not listed in his credits if he was.
Okay, all right. So he's going to tell Dale Earnhardt what it's like to be in a car going 190 miles.
Well, but you know what? You can not be in a film, but be critical of the film, or not be a baseball player.
Not if you're telling me I'm wrong.
Well, let's see here. Let's see what he says here.
But he's actually saying Big Diesel is wrong.
Big John Studd, please. As a contributor and reader of this site, it would be easy.
Studd was never world champion.
To dismiss this story by saying it doesn't matter what Kevin Nash thinks. Instead, I'm sitting here going, what? For those of you that missed it or need a refresher, here's what Nash, a.k.a. Big Daddy Cool Diesel, had to say about WWE's fast-rising star. Quote, am I the only one that sees an absolute ripoff of The Rock, to the point where he cut the promo on effing Logan Paul or whatever the F his name is, and he said, yeah, stick it. The only thing that he didn't do was turn the mother sideways. Jesus Christ, what does everybody have, amnesia? There's nothing original. Oh, man, his promo, his effing promos. Finally, LA Knight has come back as a white guy. I popped. Before I dissect Nash's comments, I must ask, can anyone not see the blatant similarities between Knight, Steve Austin, and The Rock? If someone asked me to describe LA Knight, I'd say if Stone Cold had a baby with The Rock, it would be LA Knight. Now, whether being a ripoff is a bad thing...
That's very woke.
The two guys having the child.
Yes, I didn't know anybody actually believed that a man could give birth.
It's such so that this site is blocked in Florida. DeSantis has cut all internet access.
It should be.
Let's go. Here we
Taking
go.
inspiration from others.
Whether being a ripoff is a bad thing is something I'll get to in a minute, but I don't understand the intention here, especially when one remembers how Nash spent almost his entire career surrounded by such exquisite knockoffs of Billy Graham, Ric Flair, Harley Race, The Crow, and Scarface Tony Montana, to your point.
So, The Crow,
again, a film.
A comic book / movie character, and... So that you have to bring both Scott and Steve Borden brought life to a entity that was not a professional wrestler. So to that I tip my hat.
Gotcha. It says, while creating an authentic character is most favorable, taking inspiration from others isn't the worst thing a wrestler can do, especially when it leads to something as good or better. There's some interesting words being used with The Rock and LA Knight. As good or better. We'll continue. Give the benefit of the doubt. Thanks,
we're done with this guy. We're not giving him another second of airtime.
You don't.
He's done.
You don't want to know what?
I don't give. No, I don't. And I don't want to waste another F-bomb on him. So he's done. Thanks a lot. Enjoy your In-N-Out burger. Watch LA Night. Watch LA Cop. Watch Chicago Fire. Watch whatever you want to watch. I tried to watch the guy last night. Like I said, I watched for 3 hours. Dude didn't show up. So I guess they're going to wait till whatever the next Raw is, and then he'll come back there.
I just want to give the summary of the article where he thought maybe old Diesel was just talking out of his gas tank.
Wow.
Tying into the Diesel trucks gas tanks.
Yeah.
See what he did there?
Yeah. Well, see, that's because he doesn't understand that the term Diesel was a jack dude, and because a bunch of white people didn't know what that meant, they made me a truck driver, and
you started with the
I
the
didn't
horn.
start with shit.
Well, that was creative.
Exactly. So,
all right, let's get. You know what is even smarter than that? When you need tickets to your next event, GameTime.co, GameTime.co, or just put the app on your phone like I did. I got my Bruce Springsteen tickets the morning of the show. And tickets are a whole to-do these days when you have an upcoming event or something coming up that you want. The thing with Game Time, last-minute tickets, lowest price. You can get tickets now on Game Time for something coming up in the months ahead, but you could also go on the day before, the morning of, as I did. Look at their interface. I love their interface. They have seat views, meaning they have the map of the arena. We show this all the time on our show here, the map of the arena. You click on the seats have little amounts, little money amounts, and you click on it, and that's how much the tickets would cost through Game Time on that seat. They show you the view of the ice, the stage, the field, the court, whatever you are looking to buy through Game Time. The experience is fun. I track the tickets over time, too. If I have something that's coming up, I check Game Time every day or so. See what's going on with the prices. See where the prices are trending. I check the different seats that are available. And when I clicked it, it was in my wallet on my phone in minutes. And I just walked up to the venue, showed my phone, and I was in. Game Time is the place for last-minute ticket deals. Trust me, it's the fastest-growing ticketing app in the country for a reason. The interface is great. The prices are great. Buy your tickets in a matter of seconds. 2 taps, and you're all set. The tickets are sent directly to your phone. You don't have to dig through your email. Okay? So snag the tickets for your next event without the stress with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use the code KLIQ, K-L-I-Q, for $20 off your first purchase. Okay? Terms apply. Again, create an account, redeem code KLIQ, K-L-I-Q, for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. We're back. Kliq This, the Kevin Nash podcast. Hashtag AskNash. That's where you do this thing where you want Kevin to address your questions. He'll answer it all, so feel free to ask it all. Like Mark Ashworth, who said, was there ever someone around to advise wrestlers on how to invest when making that Sting money? You do stocks, many do real estate, or is it down to the individual just to be smart?
Absolutely individual.
Or maybe one of the other boys that tells you what they're doing, or
if, I never had anybody tell me what to do.
Who's somebody you would have listened to that you know is pretty good with investments or just money? Any of the guys known for their...
I mean, later on, JBL, I would have. If I would have known, if I would have known John,
Mm-hmm.
But,
okay.
Yeah, I really don't talk. Guys don't want to talk finances. Guys don't want to. You bring up money, and nobody wants to talk money.
Well, your crew talked money frequently.
Well, we talked money on because we were using the information to leverage to make more money. But as far as, you know, you ask somebody what they get royalty wise, they won't even give you a ballpark.
Mm. But did you ever like? I know you did a lot of real estate investing when you first got down to Florida, when you first started making money in WCW. Did you like say to Scott, because Scott lived in Florida too, right? Like, hey, there's a parcel over here. Are you interested? You want to? No. Okay. What do we have in the house? We have questions in the house here?
Oh, is our only question?
No, we have more. WWE DX ECW. Hey, are you still cuddled in your Rugrats blanket? WWE DX, let us know. Hey, Kev, I know you and Triple H are close. Does he get pissed at you when stuff like this happens?
What happens?
Is that in reference to... Oh, the LA Knight stuff happened.
No, he doesn't give a... No. We don't talk business. When he and I talk, we don't talk the business.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's not like Paul calls me up and says, "Hey, want to run this by you."
But you know what might happen? This is just me going out on a limb. He may have a feeling about something, right? You know, it's something in the back of your mind about maybe a talent or what to do with somebody. And then he hears something. Like maybe he hears you. He runs into a YouTube short of you talking about a talent. And maybe he goes, see, God damn it, I knew it. I knew it. My boy Kev agrees.
Put the money in the bank.
Give it to Priest.
No, I actually said give it to Logan Paul.
You did, but you put over Priest as the one guy on that roster other than
and you know what? I watched
Brock.
I watched him on Raw this week, and he shines. I just can't believe that they almost, like, he was going to cash in the Money in the Bank, and Finn came down and attacked Seth frickin' Rollins, and by the time, like, you know, Finn got, you know, 5-6 blows in, and then Priest got up, and it was Seth got out of it. So he wasn't in a predicament to where he was hurt badly enough to where you would have cashed in the Money in the Bank.
Right.
So I thought it was a bad tease. It kind of it brought animosity to that crew. You know, it was just, I don't know.
Find another way to do it, is what you're saying.
Yeah, it just wasn't. It was too early to try to get traction off of the newest
Money in the Bank winner. Yeah,
owner of the Money in the Bank situation. I think that should have simmered. You would have got just as much had he not been involved and stood up top with the Money in the Bank in his hand.
Right.
Or I would have had, you know, but Finn worked with him the week before, so, you know, it's a hard call, but it's just like I think that needs to simmer a little bit, because you don't want you want it to be used when it's going to actually, you know, make sense.
Right. By the way, Steve Kaufman confirming that Triple H is a paying member of KliqThisTV.com. So I don't know if he's in the audience tonight, but I think he enjoys the Nash and Friends. He'd like to be on, by the way. Another question from the house. Our folks here watching live. You can do so if you go to KliqThisTV.com and join. You can watch our shows, ask questions every week. Brandon Granger, what are 5 essential classic movies someone needs to watch in their lifetime? Oof.
I don't know.
Crimes and misdemeanors. Raging Bull.
Lawrence of Arabia. Saw one.
Pope Greenwich Village. They took my thumb, Charlie.
That's what made Eric Roberts just start doing everything. He didn't when he didn't get the Oscar for that. He just said, "You know what? Fuck it.
You need me, I'm there."
Yep, exactly.
I'll
Mariah Carey, you got a video? I'm there.
Wesley votes for Barbarian, by the way. I still have to see that. Let's see. Let's go to the our sent in questions. Ryback's Only Fan says, "How did your annual Shenanigans parties start?" Let's define this for anyone who doesn't know what this is. Let's define the.
It's just we had parties that coincided with WrestleManias, and we did several of them. I don't know, 6, 7, 8. I don't know how many we did. It was just something to do on one of the nights, you know, and it was an easy payday for me because I was going to get hammered anyway. So
why not do it for money?
Exactly. Plus, I got a chance to, you know, I met some great guys like my crew from St. Louis. There's some people that came every year, and they became like, you know, it's like our crew here, our Kliq This,
like our Kliq This TV crew.
You know, it's you get people that, you know, want to, and they're not, and I never took it like, once you showed up a couple of times and we spent time together and talked, then you're not a mark anymore. You're like, you're somebody I know. If I know, you know. So.
Right. Exactly. Uncaged Rage. Where were you when Droz got paralyzed? And did you ever get to meet him? He recently passed, and I know he was a cool guy.
You know what's funny? There was nothing funny about this, but I was talking to Sean Waltman last night, and I asked him if he knew Droz, and I said, you know, I didn't know him. I didn't know Droz. I think I met him once or twice when he was already in the wheelchair, backstage. But I never met, you know, I never got a chance to you know,
gotcha.
meet him as one of the, you know, as a worker.
Anything else from the house? Some questions from our live audience. Kliq This TV fans in the house. Jen Vargo, did you see NXT last night? Bron Breakker was good. Did you catch it?
No, I didn't. It's on my DVR.
Okay.
I'd never watch anything night of. Like I watched Raw last night,
and
then I'll flip through NXT, and then tomorrow night I'll watch AEW. Like it just that way there I don't have to sit through shit I don't want to watch.
Right. All right, we'll round it out here with our friend Nick Geltner, who said, amazing memory. Briefly meeting Kevin and T in Scottsdale in 96 or 97. Me and two friends walked by Kevin and family as a baby was being taken out of the car. I guess he means T. We did the click sign, and I yelled out, "Where has Six been?" "Broke his neck," you replied. Do you miss Arizona?
Yeah, I mean, I liked it out there. Just there was no water. You know, if there would have been, you know, if Phoenix would have been, you know, built on Lake Mead, it would have been, you know, there's no water.
Well, you had a pool
or a pond. I think pond's better for you. No, but yeah, it's. I've always equated living in Phoenix is like living in Minneapolis, but the reverse. It's so hot 9 months out of the year in Phoenix that you can't go outside, and it's so cold 9 months out of the year in Minneapolis you can't go outside. You know, it's just.
I'm working on Waltman's book with him, and he told a story about one afternoon, you, Scott, and him, maybe Sean, I'm not sure. No, I think Sean wasn't in this one. And a bag of rainbow stew, and
no, it was all of it.
Was Sean there too? He said,
Yeah.
Tamara came out and looked at the four of you and said, "Are you wrestling tonight?" And you guys were like, "Yup." She goes, "Okay." She started putting on pots of coffee.
She put pots of She put because we always had, we had double pots of coffee. Scott was so fucking wasted that he fell into the pool.
Rainbow stew, for anyone that doesn't know, it's a reference to a Merle Haggard song, but used by the Kliq to mean reach into a bag of pills, and much like Skittles, you taste the rainbow. You have a different concoction each time.
This was a bag. This is a freezer bag of Somas, is what it was.
Oh, was it? Okay.
Yeah, it was a freezer bag of Somas.
The Mexican ones or the good ones?
Oh no, they were. Yeah, and then I mean, we stopped though at like 3:30. Like we stopped but we were drinking Coronas and fucking. Hey man,
I wish you guys had the Jimmy Garvin video camera going for much of the late '90s.
Scott I had these big cast iron chairs that sat by the pool that had a table with where you put the umbrella, and we were all getting some sun, and so I had the umbrella rolled down, and Scott kept scooting his chair back because he scooted it. Right. And then all of a sudden, man, he scooted the leg off the end of the pool, and he went.
Tremendous.
So I just gave him a pair of shorts and threw his shit in the dryer.
I'm going to go knock off a bag of Somas myself right now. Order a pizza. Get ready for the week.
Kick him in.
That's it. Kev, Kliq This is a production of Butch and Sundance Media, as you know. Produced in association with Podcast Heat. Created by Tristan Nash, Kevin Nash, Sean Oliver. Producer Steve Kaufman. Graphics by Dominic D'Angelo. Title sequence and audio edit by Wesley Burleson. Theme song by Dale Oliver. Technical research Tristan Nash. Copyright 2023.
How long were we on tonight?
2:30.
Shit, I bet you we dropped 18 points by now.
Yeah, but we kept it clean. We can do this.
Was it clean?
It was clean enough. I mean, it was, what was it, 60 in 5 minutes F-bombs last week? For anyone who doesn't know what we're talking about, we had a video partially monetized by YouTube because of excessive profanity. So in an attempt to find out exactly what that meant, Steve went through the show and got, I think it was 60 F-bombs in 5 minutes. And I was proud of it when I heard it. I think some kind of record. There's got to be some plaque or some special thing that maybe it's a black.
That YouTube will give us?
Yeah, a black thing or a red, like X-censored thing from YouTube. I'm going to look into that and see if we can have it.
We'd have probably been in the 80s if T had been here.
Yeah, right. So, Kev, do you want to do another one, or how should I put this week? You want to?
I think we should do 2 next week.
Do you want to do 2 next week?
Yeah, absolutely.
See if we can game the chartable system.
Let's do like Busted Loose or whatever it is. Let's do one every day.
Do it daily.
Yeah, I got nothing better to do. Suits is done.